Hello, in this video I'm going to show you a ranked battle in the Farragut. Well, there are two reasons for this video. The first is that the Farragut is a new ship that I have that I'd really like to show off. As you see, it's very new. In this game it's actually stock. You can tell it's stock because I have 5 guns instead of 4. And this is also a ranked battle, and the second season of ranked battles has just started up. I think they've made some changes which should improve it, make it a bit more dynamic and a bit easier to advance and get up to the high levels this time. As you saw when I put up the team list there, this is actually a pretty favourable match for me. Plenty of, well, 2 enemy destroyers to kill, which are both tier 5 destroyers, so it should be pretty easy for me and my tier 6 destroyer to kill, and a fair few battleships for me to fire at long range. This ranked battle is on the Straits map, which is one of the new ones that are available in ranked battle. Although I actually think this map's slightly unbalanced in that, well, the northern team tends to grab A, the southern team tends to grab B, but A seems to be in a much stronger position than B, at least in my opinion. It just dominates the central strait to a far greater extent than the B point does, which gives the northern team a bit of an edge in shuffling their reinforcements around, and it just seems a bit easier for the north than the south, but I don't really have any stats to base that on, it's just my opinion. Anyway, so the enemy team spotted, and as they usually do, they're all heading in towards B, and I'm starting to capture A. I've got my 2 allied destroyers here with me, so we'll capture A pretty quickly. Whereas it looks like the enemy team hasn't even arrived in B yet. There's obviously a destroyer almost there, judging by that smoke screen. What you see me doing now is I'm looking off towards the side there, just because enemy ships are missing. We've spotted the battleships, we've spotted, I believe we've spotted all the cruisers. Yes, we have. We've spotted one of the destroyers. There is still 1 destroyer missing, and I was a bit afraid it was going to come around and try and flank A. But since I have battleships in range of my guns, I decided to just fire away at them, do my damage, or do what damage I can, and start essentially whittling them down. And yes, that battleship is shooting back at me, even though this is at incredibly long range, and it's got basically no chance of hitting me. And I'm quite happily doing, well, probably did 2,000 damage with that broadside. Another 800 there. That battleship takes quite a few torpedo hits. And I do 297 damage, which actually isn't all that great. But you can see in stock configuration, the Farragut's 5-gun broadside, and just the rate of fire and range and accuracy of these guns means that even though each shell doesn't do a lot of damage, especially against battleships since they have quite heavy armour, it all adds up pretty quickly. The one real weakness of the Farragut and the American destroyers is that they don't get a very high chance of causing fire per shell hit. I've compensated for that a bit by getting the, I forget what it's called, the fire starter ability, but in this match it's only operating at half its usual potential, so I'm not starting, well, I haven't started any fires yet despite getting 28 hits on target, which is actually pretty typical in the Farragut. Oh no, there we go, got my first fire. Of course, it will probably put that one out. Actually, maybe not, because it got hit by torpedoes earlier, so that fire might burn for a time. Anyway, I've gone right back around, back to almost where we started, because, well, our aircraft carriers are bogue, as is the enemy's, and it's going to need a bit of time to escape. They're painfully slow ships, those bogues, and I want to be here to cover it. Especially since I thought the enemy team, after capturing B, would quite likely push north and try and catch the carrier. But they don't really seem to have done it. In fact, the battleships seem content to just keep chugging along towards B, which they often do. I should mention that this is actually a, well, it's a fairly low tier ranked battle, as you could guess, because the high tier ranked battles you have to be in a tier 7 or 8 ship. Which, yeah, I'll talk about that a bit later. But anyway, I decided to try and push the centre of the map with my team and try and put pressure on the battleships. But, well, I see a destroyer on the mini-map heading towards our carrier, so I start turning around to engage that. The Farragut's turrets are, well, like all these high-tier American destroyers, they've got basically the fastest turret traverse in the game, which means that swinging from side to side like this, it really doesn't penalise you very much at all. I believe it's a Minakaze, is no longer spotted, but I have a decent idea where it's going to be. The enemy aircraft carriers, oops, I've overturned a bit here, but I'll straighten out and get back on a decent course. I believe at the time I was actually trying to order my anti-aircraft guns to focus on these dive bombers, just to give my friendly ships nearby a bit of extra firepower. The Farragut actually has decent anti-aircraft guns, even with the stock hull, just because its 527mm guns are all dual purpose. And I've spotted the Minakaze, and I'm firing my forward guns, but I have to swing my ship around a bit to bring my rear guns to bear. Fortunately, I managed to actually take out the Minakaze's engine, and it doesn't seem to want to repair it. Also, luckily, I managed to spot the Minakaze's torpedoes. They weren't on a course for me, but by spotting them, I've actually given my team a very long time to dodge those torpedoes. And there's the Minakaze dead. At that kind of range with a destroyed engine, it was not going to last very long under the firepower of a Farragut, especially a stock one with a 5-gun broadside. The Farragut's kind of an interesting ship in that its upgrades aren't necessarily better. Basically, to get any of them, you have to get the upgraded hull, where you lose your number 3 turret, which is the least useful of your turrets, but it's actually kind of questionable whether the advantages you gain from it are worth it. You get longer ranged and better torpedoes, you get much better anti-aircraft guns, you get slightly better combat capability, and I think actually a fairly significant rudder shift time boost. But in my mind, all of that is probably just barely worth losing the number 3 turret. And if the number 3 turret was actually better placed, so you could fire it on, say, this angle I'm currently at now, I would probably be keeping this ship stock and playing it through, just unlocking everything without actually purchasing them. But anyway, that's just a bit irrelevant. While I'm rushing down here to engage the enemy, I'll talk a bit about the changes to ranked battles. Probably the most significant one, well, the one that's annoying me the most, is that the first 10 ranks, I believe, at least up to rank 10, the battles are tier 5 and 6 only, so you'll see this Farragut here is basically always going to be top tier, and also those battles, you can't actually lose a rank. You can lose stars, but you won't ever get shoved down a rank. But once you hit rank 10, the games change to be tier 7 and 8, so tier 6s like this Farragut are no longer going to be able to play in them, and you can start moving up and down the ranks, which kind of sucks for me because I actually don't have any tier 8 ships. Actually, I don't even have any tier 7 ships on the North American server. The only one I could actually purchase at the moment is the Hiryu, the Japanese tier 7 aircraft carrier. But I don't particularly want to go into battles knowing that I'm always going to be low tier, especially in an aircraft carrier. On the Asian server, which I also play on, I've got a bit better in that I've got a Pensacola. Unfortunately, it's a stock Pensacola, which is just kind of an awful ship to play in. Anyway, I've rushed down there. I fired at the last remaining enemy cruiser, but actually missed mostly. Managed to capture B, even though I didn't even realise at the time I was in it. I was just sticking a decent course to fire away at the cruiser. And now we are firing away at the enemy's bogue, and this guy is basically doomed. I've set it on fire, I've absolutely wrecked it, it's under fire from the rest of my team, and I finished it off with a Citadel penetration. So, actually a pretty one-sided game in the end there. But you see, well, I did the best of my team, at least in terms of experience, and I didn't do all that much damage. But on the very first screen you saw I actually got a lot of experience and a lot of credits for that. And it's just... Oh, plus I also ranked up and I completed another mission. I think I completed 2 missions there and might have unlocked a new rank. So I mean, I just got massive bonuses for that game, and it was like 9 minutes. I did alright, but even on losses you do alright in ranked battles, I really think they've done something to just improve the experience and credits you gain in participating in them. Plus it's fun and it's competitive, and whilst there are times when I find the 7v7 format a bit annoying, just because if you get one Muppet on your team you're kind of doomed, but at the same time it also allows greater flexibility and a greater focus on formations and sticking together and focus firing that's not really present in the 15v15 game mode, because, well, you're all spread out so much more. Anyway, I suppose the main thing to take from this is that Farragut's an awesome ship, and that Ranked Battle Season 2 are on, and you should totally get in there and start playing them. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time.